Bishop Carlton Pearson. And he was a fifth-generation Pentecostal minister. He mentored with Oral Roberts. He founded one of the largest churches in Tulsa, congregation of 6,000. He had a national television show that reached millions weekly. He was White House advisor for G.W. Bush and Clinton. What was he doing at a unity conference? We're going to show a little bit of a video. I've got 2 pieces of that, Kim, and Kim's going to show you who this person was before unity. And you put the lights down a little bit when the video comes on, please.
The obvious. When the Spirit of truth, that which is no longer concealed, when the Spirit of truth, whom I'm sending you, comes, who goes out from the Father, he will testify about me. But you also must testify, for you have been with me from the beginning. Now, first verse, 16th chapter. All this I have told you so that you will not be offended. The King James has it. It means you will not go astray. It is the Greek word for offended there, scandalizon. Scandalizo. You will not be scandalized. How many of you know I'm tired of the scandals? Jesus said, I'm telling you this so that you will not be scandalized or tricked or entrapped or led away or led astray, or that you will not be enticed to sin, so that you will not backslide or miss the target. There's a target out in front of us, folks. Jesus said, I'm warning you, there's going to be a little trouble, and I'm telling you now, it's just going to be a short while, and then I'm coming in the power of the...
Do you have the beginning of it, Kim, where the music is? The very beginning of that? Okay. All right. Let me know. You got it? Okay. I want you to see him in action.
Many of us will bury dear and precious and near loved ones. The strong towers and pillars that we have leaned upon and leaned against for the last 30 years are going to be taken from us. There's coming a changing of the guards. I predict and prophesy that by the middle of 1993, there'll be such a tremendous, conspicuous change in the cosmetic appearance of the church and the structure of the church. A change is coming. And he says, you will, I tell you the truth, you will weep and mourn while the world...
That's the really one I wanted you to see, but that's okay. He was also a singer. So the piece I had for you was him actually preaching and singing with the whole congregation. Maybe we can find it and show it at the end or something. But you kind of get the feeling of what Pentecostal preaching is about, and that was mild. So what he shared with us was that for about 10 years, his heart was not into that type of preaching anymore. But, you know, his father had done it, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, is what he was born into. And he said one day he was watching TV and they showed the people in Rwanda and how they were suffering. And that was like the breaking point for him. He knew he could no longer preach that because you were a non-Christian, you were going to go to hell forever. And so that Sunday, he stood on the pulpit and he told his congregation that there was no hell and that people would not experience eternal damnation, that hell was here created by humans. And what happened? He was declared a heretic by the movement, his movement. People stopped going to his church. The church closed. He lost his possessions. He lost his home. He lost everything. He said I was on top of my game. That's what he called it. And it was gone. And somehow in there, he started moving towards new thought, towards unity, because that was speaking to him. That was what was in his heart. And so he now does these conferences for unity, plus other Unitarian churches than the IPAC thing. And he calls, our founders are Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, he calls us the Feel More movement. There's actually a movie planned about his life. This is how impactful this man has been. And Kurt and Renee are nodding their heads, they know about him. So today's talk, and it's going to tie in with this, and Reverend Therese, you know who Reverend Therese, she lent me this because today's talk is called the Superhero Principle. I needed your grandson to wear this for me today. And what the superhero principle is, our thoughts and consciousness impact matter. Okay, don't just hear the words. Our thoughts and consciousness impact matter. We're doing this book, E Squared. Now, Reverend Therese did The Untethered Soul. They tie together. This takes all the scientific proof. It gives you the scientific proof for everything we talk about. Bishop Pearson continued talking about bringing the genie out from inside us, bringing our inner genius out. He said that over and over again. And he used this scripture. Actually, there's two of them. Matthew 9:16. And you've heard this. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. And then it's followed by Matthew 9:17. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. New wine is fermenting. It's bubbling, it's expanding because of the gases, right? A new wineskin is pliable. So if you put new wine in a new wineskin, they expand together. But old wineskin is brittle. It's fixed. It's unable to expand. As I'm saying this, see if you can figure out metaphysically where we're going. So if I take new wine and I put it in an old wineskin that's not going to give, what happens? It's going to burst. And we lose the wine and the skin. So metaphysically, I can't put new ideas into my old mindsets. I can't get new results with old thinking and old behavior. So what do they say in business? Doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is what? Is what? Is what? Yes. Yes. But we're doing it, aren't we? We come to church and we keep hearing about our thoughts and changing our thoughts. And then I go right back into my old thinking. E Squared, The Untethered Soul, are both about freeing ourselves of this old thinking, of this old behavior. Bishop Pearson, he said, stop saying unity is the best kept secret. Stop saying that. We don't want it to be a secret. He said, get it out there. He wants us to call ourselves Metacostal. Metacostal. He says, church should be, and we're gonna make this happen here, you guys. Church should be an orgasmic experience of spiritual excitement that transcends and goes beyond our thinking and rises us into the oneness of God energy. Can we get orgasmic? Yes. I'm telling you, when you're in a room with 200 other ministers and that man is preaching to you, you're on your feet the whole time. So, in Matthew 9:16, and I use this scripture a lot. Jesus said, very truly, I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these. He didn't just believe it. He knew it, and he used the power of his thought. We talk about healing, but do we work it? Do we use it? The superhuman principle. Our thoughts, our words, our consciousness impact matter. Do you hear that? It's time to move. It's time to move from believing to knowing and experiencing what our thoughts can do. You want your life to change. I want my life to change. I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. And it's all, the power is all right here. It's all right here. It's time. It's time to get God out of the box and see what we have called God for what it really is. An energy that pervades everything. We are energy. And our energy remains even when the body is no longer here. And that's why when I hear of someone's death, I am not going to go, oh. I am going to smile and know that that energy is still here. We go on. We are eternal. Do you have the Einstein quote, Kim? Einstein, the religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. Cosmic. It will transcend personal God and avoid dogma and theology. That is what the unity movement is about. If you have any leftover dogma and theology from those other religions you have, get rid of them. You don't need them anymore. Thoughts are energy. Our mind can generate energy and is capable of transforming physical matter. We know about Jesus' healings. We know what he performed. And I'm going to just read this scripture one more time. The one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these. He's telling us that the healings and the miracles that he did, we can do once we get control of our thinking. How many of you have heard of Dr. Emoto, who did the experience with the water? Right. Okay, so he was a Japanese researcher. And he used water to prove that when you focus, when you use your mind and focus, you can affect matter. And they took glasses of water, and they exposed them to various words and thoughts. They had one set of glasses here, and they would give them loving and positive thoughts, and there's another set over here that would do negative thoughts or ignore them. And then they froze the water, and they examined them on a microscopic photography. And the water that was exposed to the positive loving words, Kim, you want to show it? Created beautiful symmetrical ice crystals. So that's the power of love. The ones that were exposed to the negative words and thoughts or were ignored, show the next one. They were chaotic, they were fractured, they were ugly formations. So, think about your thoughts. Just in the hour you're sitting here. Where do they go? What are they creating in your body? Our movement is based on Myrtle Fillmore's healing of TB. She was told she was going to die at 40, and she lived another 41 years. Because she learned to use her thoughts. It's not easy. I try, and I know. I watch how when I've got something negative there and I start to shift, I work with that a lot. But as I do these talks, I'm getting clearer and clearer in myself that my thoughts have power and the negative ones are not going to run my life anymore. So if my loving thoughts are going to create that beautiful crystal, what are my negative thoughts doing to my body? And you know, we don't even know it. Sometimes when we're a child, someone can say something negative to us. And that negative statement can affect us the rest of our life. It sits in there, and we carry it. We don't even know it's there. We believe it, we buy into it, and we start seeing ourselves in some area less than. You got an area where you feel less than? Yeah. Why? Because I have relinquished my power over my thoughts to what somebody said to me or did to me. But my thoughts are more powerful than that. So it's time to use our superhuman abilities and change those deep-seated beliefs that we're carrying. Because they're limiting us. They are limiting us from pouring new thought into a new wineskin. You see why we have to do forgiveness and why we do the releasing and the letting go. There's a story in the book about a boy that by the time he was in the second grade, he was declared legally blind. And when he was 17, another boy, a friend of his, said, you know, if you want, you can train yourself to see again. No one had ever said this to this boy. He only heard, oh, you poor blind thing. This is why whenever you start to feel sorry for someone, stop yourself. See their wholeness. Don't see the illness. Don't see what's wrong with them. He took that and he worked with it and he healed his blindness. Today he owns a driver's license, he drives a car, and he operates a self-healing center. There's another story in the book about Terry McBride, and I've experienced Terry McBride. How many of you have seen him? Because he goes to a lot of the Unity, you have, Denise. He goes to a lot of the Unity churches. When he was at 22, he was working construction, and he ruptured the disc in his back. Complications happened. He had underwent 30 major surgeries and was told he would never leave the wheelchair, that he would spend the rest of his life in it. He was a young man. He did not buy into it. He didn't believe it, and he started affirming his wholeness and his health. And today, he's strong, he's healed, he's not in a wheelchair, and he travels the country talking about his healing. It's a powerful story if you ever see him. He says this, the infinite power of God will back up our thoughts. The infinite power of God will back up our thoughts in sickness if that's what we choose. We can change our thoughts to health, love, joy, and peace. The power is ours. You know, science and mysticism have identical goals. They just have different methods. And since we're on the Space Coast, I wanted to share this because this is powerful. In 1971, astronaut Edgar Mitchell, when he was turning from the moon on Apollo 14, had a spiritual experience. He had a profound sense of universal connectedness. And here's what he said. The presence of divinity became almost palpable, and I knew that life in the universe was not just an accident based on random process. He said the knowledge came to me directly. You've got the photo, Kim? 2 years later, he established the Institute of Noetic Sciences. How many of you heard of that? I did not know it was started by an astronaut. And the Noetic Sciences is a scientific study of ways consciousness can influence the physical world. Noetic is Greek for inner wisdom. It's time to claim our oneness with God energy. It's time to step boldly into our lives and take control of our thinking. Are you ready to do that? Yes. Our thoughts, our words, and our consciousness impact matter. We have superhero powers. We just have to practice using them. So if someone handed you a violin and said, you are capable of making incredible music, they're not lying to you. You do have that capability. You have to practice. So this week, you are going to practice impacting matter with your thoughts. So the experiment they give us is you take these green bean seeds, and I've got 4 packets. So Those that want them are going to do this experiment. And you take half of them and put them in the pot over here, another half over here. You put them in light. You want them. It says to soak the beans overnight first. It makes them sprout faster. And one, you're going to just talk loving things. You know about talking to plants, right? You're going to say loving words to them, be nice to them. The others, you're going to ignore, or you're just going to talk nasty to them. And then watch what happens. And those of you that pick up these packets, let me know. We have the power to transform our physical world. It's time to release our inner genie and step into our superhuman powers. Thank you.